Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing today on Wonderful Wednesday? You know what that means? It is, of course, again, our great conversation today with Conversation for Humanity. And we have our special guest already lined up. So he is here with us today. Roberts will be sharing his story with us today on Conversation for Humanity. So sit back, relax. He's going to come share a powerful story with each and every single one of you. So get that drink, sit back in that chair, and enjoy this great and engaging conversation that we'll have in store for you today. So, again, welcome everyone to the Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it's our goal, our mission, our passion, our purpose. I even dare say our calling here at Bringing Humanity Together to create environments that people would love, not only in our workplaces, but also in our very communities. And as always, we'll be going live every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And we have those calls for the community on Mondays and also on Fridays. So if you want to join that call, please let me know and we will get right into it with you guys. So Mondays is done via Google Meet. And then on Friday, we do it through um, LinkedIn Audio, and those calls will be done at again 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So please reach out to myself, and we'll make sure that you're on those calls. And then on every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have our uh, LinkedIn Live / audio events. We've been doing a lot more audio events because a lot more people like to be able to be on the go and that kind of thing. So we're kind of doing that for right now. We probably will flip back to the LinkedIn live stream. So that will be there. So, well, like I said, we're just so humbled and honored to be able to be with each and every single one of you today. So we'll get right into the meet and greet session with Robert. So, Robert, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
All right, very good, very good. And I know the way me and you kind of met is you've been coming to a lot of our live streams here at Bringing Humanity Together, and I got to start the conversation off with you first. What do you think of our LinkedIn audio / live streams that you've been on? What really kind of resonates with you?
I really appreciate the different perspectives of everyone. I mean, I've always been a type person that I don't care who you are, you know something that I don't. I don't care who it is. Everyone in the world knows something that I don't, and I know something that somebody else does. And that sharing of information, that sharing of knowledge, and the exponential growth that's possible is just beyond my comprehension.
Exactly, exactly. And I got to ask you, Robert, do you believe in this too as well? That the very act of giving is in the very act of receiving.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a study of psychology and cellular biology and all that kind of thing, just as a pastime, as an interest. I'm not like a scientist, but everything I've read, everything I've looked into, it's like every time, even if I'm not involved in the giving process, if I see someone else giving to a third party person, I actually will benefit from that as well, and I will gain benefit just by observing it. And in giving to someone, I gain the benefit of that I get from that same thing, and it's always there's more that is received on the part of different parties than is ever given to begin with. And to give is to gain.
Absolutely, 100%. And I already see that we have Angelica all the way from Italy because that's where she's taking some time off and taking in the sights. And I just saw your post when you were at the theater, Angelica, and that was just truly amazing. And we're glad that you are here with us today. We're so humbled and honored. And like I said, we just can't wait to get more people here with us today. And again, if you guys want to come share your story on Conversation for Humanity, please message me here on LinkedIn. And here's the guest scheduling link that you can do. Go to calendly.com, guest BHT/CFH, and we would love to have you here too as well. And like I said, Angelica, we're glad to see you here, and we'll get more from our community joining in and everything like that. So I got to ask you this, Robert. How long have you been on LinkedIn so far?
Well, I started the account many years ago. I don't even remember. It was, I think it was pretty close to when it first launched. But I mean, I started it. I dabbled for a little bit, and I it never really did a whole lot. So I kind of didn't go back for an extended period of time. And I think now I've re-engaged for probably a couple years, maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of bad with time when it's past. Once it's past, it's done, and there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So I don't really bother trying to remember things much.
Well, I've actually been on LinkedIn for me, if I remember right after the end of 2016, going into 2017. So I've been on that long. Um, it's been really a great experience for me here on LinkedIn. I can't complain. I've loved it. And hello, Jay. Glad to see you here, Jay. We would love to have you on. Please click the link on the comment section we have. We would love to hear from you today. We're glad to see you here. Um, and I've just, I can't say enough about the age of social media right now, Robert. I truly believe when we truly become connected to one another, Robert, I truly believe we can really not only move mountains with one another and with each other, but we can really get to be able to see what other people see and believe and just take that at face value. And then maybe in turn, they can be able to see and believe what we see and believe and take that at face value. And then really have those kind of curious driven conversations. And I truly kind of preface it in this kind of way. And I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you believe in this kind of thing? Do you believe that the better question to ask is not what you do, Robert? The better question to ask is who are you?
Um, well, I get into a whole lot of questions with that on its own, just because I mean, a lot of times people will say, "Well, I'm a programmer, I'm a mechanic, I'm and they describe themselves with their career or their hobbies, and not with the essential elements of what makes them who they are." And there's while both categories of information do define a person to a certain degree, neither is wholly unto itself, and there's a whole conversation that can be had just about what that question really means. But I mean, in a nutshell, yeah, I think going from that perspective is definitely going to get you a lot better benefit than just a superficial little tidbit, a snippet at the top of your bio page on your network.
And the man himself has now joined us. Hello, Jay. How are you doing today?
Hello, Chris. Hello, Robert. I'm doing pretty
So
good. How's everybody today?
Well, I'm doing well. I got off a little later than what I would thought I was going to be because we had to get ready for a huge catering. But other than that, Jay, I'm great today.
It's good to hear, man. I think that this is important work, and reaching out and having discussions with like-minded folks is extremely important for the work that BHT is doing. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad that you are too as well. And I see that we have Frank here with us today. Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to hear from you too as well. So we are so humbled and honored that you guys are here with us today. And we're going to have, again, another great and engaging conversation on the true power of story. And that story is going to come from Robert today. And I had to say, Jay, I saw it this morning about the post that you did about your experience with your tornado thing, and I just like I liked it, but I didn't have enough time to be able to comment on it. But I saw it, so I
Okay.
saw that today, sir. That was great work. I love it, and we definitely have to share your story on that too as well. So we're looking forward to that. So Robert, we're almost there to the top of the hour, and we're going to get some more people involved here in just a second. But Robert, it's about that time for you to come share your story on Conversations for Humanity. So the floor is yours, sir.
Awesome, thank you. Um, well, it's kind of I'm not. This isn't usually the type of thing I usually do, so I'm not really sure exactly where to start. But I guess I'll start with what gave me the inspiration to start on my journey. Um, Back, I guess I was about 21 or so. Um, Around the late part of 1991, 1992, 21, 22 years old, something like that. And I started finding out about how the monetary system worked with the Federal Reserve and all that kind of thing. And I come to the point where I didn't want and don't want to enrich the banks who are just making money off of people when I can turn around and benefit the people themselves and turn it into a closed loop where people themselves can gain the benefit and have all the advantages that can come from the banking system without the risks and without losing out all that's lost in how the banking system works. And so I started, searching and trying to figure out how all the different parts of a system might work together to provide those means, um, how to tie in businesses that can serve the people and provide the funding without having to take the money from the people themselves. Um, and figuring out, how how to turn to take from the general business side of things with companies and corporations and factories and whatever, and keep that money out of the banking system and out of the tax system, where it's just going to go into a big black hole of being absorbed by the national debt and all that kind of thing, and never actually producing anything of value to humanity. So what I figured out is a certain alignment of different companies that produce goods and services for each other to so that they don't need to pay outside of the uh, the holding company and keep the money within that loop while providing services for other companies and actually being there, each company a company on its own, doing making a profit from the other companies without losing in that profit and the necessity of paying for the goods and services that company needs. I hope that's clear. Um, but and then taking advantage of the tax breaks, donating to a 501c3 that then has the task of turning around and building a system by which I can establish and support self-sufficient agorist communities, um, providing security, education, infrastructure, um, healthcare, uh, housing, and that type of thing. Um, and education into the not and when I say education, I don't mean just providing school, but providing the understanding of people so that they themselves, if they want to get into their own businesses, their own industries, to actually learn how to leverage the mechanisms that the super wealthy do. Like instead of having to go to a bank, start a self-funded life insurance company that where you can borrow from and make money from the profits on the money that you put in and the interest on the payments that you make towards the life insurance, but then be able to borrow against it to invest that money, and the life insurance increases at a rate higher than the interest that you pay to pay off your loan. So even in taking out a loan, you haven't lost your money and you still increase in value. That's one example, and trying to help people understand how they can use such mechanisms to turn their hobbies that they would otherwise do for free into careers that actually benefit them and their own interest, as well as providing needs for the communities and for humanity as a whole and all that kind of thing. And my effort has been to learn all that I can in that and put it to practice and put it to use. So that we can get off of the cycle of debt as being the foundation of our monetary system. To actually get people to be able to experience true freedom without having to go through all the hassle of spending the first 60 years trying to make the money that they're going to live on, and then only be able to live on it for the last couple decades or few decades, when they don't even have the health to endure it and to enjoy the benefits of it like they did when they were younger.
So I love that. So, what drove you, Robert, to go down that path? What was the kind of maybe aha moment or that one event or whatever that might be that said, this is my passion, this is my purpose, this is what I have been kind of led to do and everything like that? Can you see that as like that one event? Oh, how did that show up to you?
Um, well, I think I mean, it's hard to pin down because it was really a collection of several different things. But I think really it started when I was a little kid. I grew up in a very conservative religious household, and the doctrine of the church that I was raised in said one thing, while they professed to believe the Bible, but then at the same time, the things that they taught were contrary to specific verses that they found in this Bible they were supposed to believe in. And that just got me questioning, who's telling the truth? Do you know? Can I trust you to say that you believe this one thing when you're teaching something else? Kind of thing. And that just started me on a search of trying to understand what makes the world tick, why things happen the way they do, what makes people live the way they do, what guides people's choices, all that kind of thing. And just from there, I just started searching, following rabbit trails. I would find out a tidbit of information that would lead to other questions, and then dig into those questions. And I mean, one thing led to another, and it just kind of snowballed, years later. And I think the final blow was when I came across the understanding that I think it was during Reagan's presidency that he had him find out that 100% of the income tax is absorbed by the interest on the national debt, and that all our income tax does absolutely nothing to actually pay for anything. And that, then I mean, you get into um the when the Federal Reserve was the documents were drafted for that on Jekyll Island. The whole thing was to create a debt system where the value of the money is based on the earnings of your great grandchildren. And I was like, well, I don't want my grandkids to be paying for my debt. I don't want, you know, people who are struggling to just survive have 30 to 40% of their paychecks taken and go to pay off a debt that is really, if you look into it, it's our monetary system is unconstitutional, but that's a whole other conversation. um but I have no interest in supporting a system that creates a debt bondage for generations. And if you look at the math behind it, I mean, when every dollar has a debt attached to it, then it can never be paid back, because every dollar you use to pay off the debt is dollars that you had to borrow that also has its own debt attached. And I mean, I'm just a firm believer in humanity's birthright to be free, and to not have to be a servant to each other's interests, and just serve each other out of compassion and kindness.
So, Jay, what's the big takeaways from Robert's story so far for you?
I think that one of the things that stands out to me is that we know that the 1% are participating in a system that allows them to continue to grow their wealth. Um, and if this system exists for them, then obviously the system exists for everyone. It's just, how do we participate in that ourselves, right? How do we get there? And there are um, people such as Robert who are willing to do the research, to figure it out, and to allow other people who are not in the 1% to reach levels that they currently don't have access to. And I think that's commendable, because especially in this day and age of social media and digital information, right? We There's more and more information available to people outside of those upper echelons, outside of the elite. And if we can grow into that wealth by leveraging some of that information, that's definitely something that should be done, to develop and to help the whole of humanity, and not just a concerted few. So, you know, I I actually wanted to ask a question, um, of Robert, and I hope you don't mind, Chris.
I'm
And
fine
so,
with it.
go ahead.
I said I'm fine with it.
Okay. So, Robert, I know I hear what you're saying about debt, and what we consider traditional, right, debt, for the masses, right, regular consumers.
Right.
Is there? This is, I guess, this is the better question than, and I'm trying to formulate it. Is there good debt?
Absolutely. And that's the point, is I'm taking advantage of the good debt with the business side to take that and turn it around and gain the benefits of the good debt, putting it into the system that I'm working on to develop it, and then using that to help other people understand how they can leverage debt, or actually, what's um how they can leverage what in the business side is leverage. They don't even call it debt for the most part. But people are so afraid of it that they've bought into all the hypes of what the banks have told them about credit cards and their credit system, and keeping your debt ratio low, and just trying to keep it paid off. And I mean, I don't even understand all the different uh, lines that they've bought into, because I've kind of made a point of trying to forget everything, and to put all that aside to figure out how to make it work. Um, so I guess actually now that I'm glad you mentioned that because I think it's probably something I ought to get into and understanding that perspective.
Well, I think that I think that a lot of people out there are um, looking at it like, hey, I can never get out of paying my student loans, right? I'm thousands of dollars in. I can never get to pay it down. I'm still working. It's 15 years later, and I'm still paying on my student loans. And I think that you know from that perspective, they're looking at debt like this is it's evil. But
Right.
let me put it to the audience like this: even the big corporations have what is called good debt.
Oh yeah.
For yeah, prime example, McDonald's. Right now, if you look at McDonald's balance sheet, March 2023, it's $49.91 billion dollars. So the company, the corporation, McDonald's, has a current debt as of March of this year of $49.91 billion dollars.
Right.
Now, if they have that debt, right, but they are a multi-billion dollar corporation making revenue in that amount, why would they then seek to have debt? It just doesn't make sense as a regular consumer. So why I guess the other question would be why would they do that?
Well, my closest parallel with that is in the real estate industry, where I mean, I'll buy a house that's valued at 200,000, um, and I'll be taking in rent, building up my portion of equity on it, but still be paying off all the debt, right? And so my actual profit is pretty low the whole time. But then whenever I finally get equity, I borrow against the house, take out that equity, and keep on making having renters make the payments, and then use that equity. I mean, use the money that I borrowed to buy another house, and then I continued to borrow against all the properties, staying in debt. But then I have that cash flow that is providing the means for me to continue to increase my net value, even though I don't have any quote unquote profit or quote unquote income that shows on paper. I mean, as far as all the bank notes are concerned, as far as my balance sheet is concerned, I mean, sometimes I'm in the red, and it's if they were someone looking from a employee perspective and taking on the natural normal consumer debt, be like, oh my gosh, that's terrible, that's horrible. It's like, no, I still have the cash flow, I still have money to spend. It's just
Right.
not showing up on the books as profit. I mean, I can keep on doing things and keep on functioning with no problem whatsoever, and I put nothing at risk. And it's just I know the cycles. I know how I may be in the red for a little bit, but then I know that I've got payments coming in that are going to cover that, and they're going to cover all my expenses, and I'm still going to be able to borrow more money and get more cash flow that's never counted as income that can be taxed.
Right. So and I think that's where some people get it confused, between what's revenue and what's profit, right?
Exactly.
And so, Chris, I think it sounds like we're getting into the weeds of things, but really, what Robert is saying is that there there are systems and structures that exist to allow people, even people who aren't entrepreneurs per se, right, to be able to use the system to benefit themselves and benefit humanity in a way that is not going to be detrimental to themselves or to society when it comes to debt. And you put it in the framework, Robert, of property, of land, right, of a house. It's crazy because everybody thinks of McDonald's as a restaurant business, a fast food joint business.
Right.
They're not.
Uh-uh.
They're a huge real estate company.
Yeah.
and and the more they have real estate all across the globe,
Oh yeah.
and they're leveraging the debt and their assets to continue to grow that empire. So I like what you're saying. How does somebody who's, let's say, uh, as a startup entrepreneur, right, kind of benefit from the system that we're talking about? We know that McDonald's is doing it, right? So how does somebody, like little mom and pop operation get involved? If we because here's the thing, you know, uh, VHT is going to grow, and we're going to be participating in partnerships, right? And we want to be able to leverage those partnerships, but at the same time participate in these systems that we're talking about. So how can something like a an organization, a small mom and pop operation, at least in the interim, um, get involved in something like that?
Um, the tricky part about that is communicating who to borrow from at the outset before you've developed a history of your use of your debt and your leverage. Um, there's certain companies that can be borrowed from, and you can get credit lines with. I mean, just straight out of the gate, you go in and you file and get your Dun and Bradstreet number and all that kind of thing. And as soon as you get things established, you can probably spend a couple $100s to get an LLC and just get the thing launched. And from that point, you borrow to get the property that you're going to run a restaurant in. You borrow to get the equipment. You borrow to get the food. So everything is on leverage there. But as long as you know at the outset what your numbers are, and you know how much food you can, that you can safely, conservatively say, this is how much I'm definitely going to be able to sell, and the amount of gross income I can generate, and make sure that that is enough to cover the your payments, and still have some additional cash flow to get everyone paid, and to keep, to put into the bank and do whatever it is you need to do. I mean, really, it's just a matter of understanding who to talk to, and who is in a lending mode to be able to get you started on it. And that's one thing that I've been kind of looking into. I found a few different companies that um, I can suggest to people, but it's really not set up for that at the outset. For the most part, there's a precondition that you're already financially set well enough that you can show your own bank statements, and support your LLC with your personal finances. And it's great if you can do that, but that's not possible for everyone. And I mean, it's like, I mean, there's even been a point where if I wanted to, I could have borrowed from friends and family and associates to to finance certain things, and to help boost my use of leverage in that way. But at the same time, as a demonstration, so that people can know that I know what I'm talking about, I'm using my own experiences to try and show that, so that they can say, hey, this is exactly how I did it, and I did it from the get go, using the system that I'm trying to teach you how to use, kind of thing.
But see, Robert, this is what comes up for me in this great and engaging conversation with you and Jay right now. We have really gotten so carried away or so conditioned to believe that money is going to be the root of everything and everything like that. Maybe it's about maybe reframing this in this kind of way. Because granted, Jay brought up a great point with McDonald's about leveraging their real estate and of course the assets and the P&Ls and all how all that works and that kind of thing. But what I truly see coming to pass, Robert, not only in business today, but literally in every other aspect of our lives, when we reframe the money dynamic in a way that's not really about the money anymore. We can have money all day long, Robert, to kingdom come, but it's not going to literally fulfill us in any which way, shape, matter, or form. Sometimes it can probably even repay that debt, just like what Jay said. 49 point something $1 billion in debt. Now, how would in the world can a company have that much debt but yet still be in business? We, like I said, we quantify that thing in such a dynamic that we, oh my God, that's a huge number. But for them, probably it's a drop in the bucket. But like I was getting back to my point though, is I truly believe we can leverage the power of humanity, and this is how we can probably do it. Don't solely focus on the money. Money's going to be there. Absolutely. Money's another form of energy and tool that we use to get the things that we want and need in our life. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. But what we can do is through the power of seeing what others see and believe and take that at face value, or even in concert to where they can be able to see what we see and believe and take it at face value. Prime example. How in the world did McDonald's even became McDonald's in and of itself? The McDonald's brothers had a unique way of selling that product that they had. They had the hamburgers down pat, the shakes, and that's how it all started. But it wasn't until uh, Ray Kroc come into the picture that really said, "Hey, I can take this on a nationwide level." Now, mind you, if you want to find out more context and how that relationship started, go watch the movie The Founder with Michael Keaton in there. It's going to tell you a whole lot more to the story in and of itself because on some fronts, what Ray Kroc did was kind of undercutting the very thing that he wanted to build. But what he saw, though, is the potentiality of how you can bring something not only to market that's going to really fulfill that need for a lot of people, but he saw the long game versus the short game. So I'm going to ask you, Robert, do you see that kind of same dynamic playing out moving forward, that we're not going to be so relegated by the money, but really have that power of potential, not only in an idea, but also into a vision?
I do definitely see the possibility of it, but at the same time, I'm kind of hesitant to really say yes, it's going to happen, because how preconditioned people are to see evidence before they can move forward. Which, I mean, that's completely understandable as long as you don't get yourself, because because for instance, using the money as an example, because it's an easy metaphor. If I need to borrow money, the person I'm borrowing it from, needs to know that I can pay it back. And if I want a favor from someone, I don't want to feel like I'm the only one who's doing for everyone else all the time. I want to be able to know that the other people will have my back as well. Because I mean, like they say, you can't give out of an empty cup. I have to. I would think that I have to find some way of knowing that other people can contribute equally their own share of sweat equity. And there's that aspect of the lack of trust that we have with each other, that the there's an expectation that we need to have some way of verifying that someone has the means, either in their own abilities or they're in their connections or in their finances or something, to be able to keep their side of that balance going on. And it's the thing with money is that it is a even if it has no interest, no value, which I mean, money is just it's worth less than the paper it's printed on, really. But it's it's a game piece. And if someone has a lot of money, then that means that they've had the relationships or the skills or the education or whatever it is to have gotten into that position where they have the money. And that in doing business with them, even if I don't need any of the money, in doing business with them, the money is evidence that there's these other things going on in their relationship with their with friends and family and associates and whatever. And it's that finding a replacement for the symbol of money that's going to be a problem. That I mean, I absolutely. I mean, there's been uh, co-ops and communes and stuff where people just came together and and contributed their fair share. But in the grand scale, I don't know. I mean, I can't just go up to a perfect stranger and assume that they're going to be able to hold up their share of the bargain. So how is it that I can have some security in doing what I can for them and not expect to just be taken advantage of? And that's part of why I'm trying to do it through the system that I am, so that I'm not putting my own self at risk, but it's a natural outflow of what the system does, that it's just going to be there. Like for instance, part of the uh, agorist communities that I want to build is that in the space of that community, there will also be an edible forest type of thing where um, plant edible plants, bushes and trees and whatever, in the same uh, pattern as with any normal forest, so that they support each other and it's able to sustain living without people having to pay attention to it. And then it's there, regardless of if anyone is ever there to tend it or to do anything for it. And so that provides food so that people can come and eat at it as it's there. And I'm providing for them. And at that point, I'm not risking a darn thing out of it, but it's there for them and whoever wants to do it. And then I trust that as the natural ratio of the way people function, there's going to be a certain percentage of people who are wanting to contribute back, and they'll do whatever they can. And now, I find opportunities for them to do that. But as far as, on the grand scale of putting it to work, I'm I have a problem trying to see a mechanism by which that can be done that doesn't involve money as a game piece, as a token of demonstration of what role someone can play and how they can contribute.
Maybe
What's your
you and I
take
can
on
have
that,
a.
Jay?
And so I there's a model. There are particular different types of community models that can come from something that Robert is talking about. What I see as w- using the current framework, right? What currently exists. So if you're in the United States, U.S. Department of Agriculture is a good place to go to, right? The Small Business Administration, that's another entity. Now, they fund entire subdivisions, right? Depending on um, the type of community you plan to build. And if you put it in a framework that it's going to be affordable housing, that it's going and see people get a bad taste in their mouth when we hear affordable housing. The
Mhm.
problem is the systems that have existed in the past have just been super corrupt and have been mismanaged to the point where the end user, the actual customer base, ends up with a poor product. What needs to happen is it has to start from the beginning. It has to start at the contractor level to create these communities that we call affordable housing. That's not going to be, pardon my French, crap, right? So that people can go there, live comfortably, right? Have a decent home that they want to come home to after a long day of work, and then not have to worry about being in a bad part of town. And a lot of these places and a lot of these things are just under the old system just isn't working. And so if we use the current framework of the SBA and the USDA, right, the rural development block grants, right, we can take these grants and use them in a way that's going to be beneficial and that's going to not be an eyesore or contribute to ongoing crime and graft in the community. But you know, once it gets into the hands of politicians and people that are not thinking about the end user and more about how can we tap into these grants and benefit from these grants, then it's going to perpetuate that old system. But we just need to have contractors willing to look at it from the perspective of we're going to make some money. We're not going to do it hand over fist and then and screw the little people, the people that we are supposed to serve. And I think Robert dropped off. Um, what do you think about that, Chris? What are your
Well,
thoughts on?
I truly believe, Jay. I'm a firm believer that if you add value to people, people are going to add value back to you. It's just that simple. And when we add that value from a dynamic of that next currency of value versus that money, because again, at the end of the day, you can have all the money all you want, but if it's not going to fulfill someone's place in the world or even get them to where they want to go in the world, that money is not going. I mean, think about it. There are people out there who's got tens and tens and probably maybe even millions of dollars more than any one of us on this call today that is still leading an unfulfilled life because they, for whatever rhyme or reason, it can be a multiple of different things that really shows up for them, that that very money that they have gained really didn't fulfill that void in their heart or their passion and their purpose or whatever. All money does is get you to that place of, yes, I can keep the lights on, I can put food on the table, I can be able to buy these kind of things when I have that great net of disposable income and everything like that, and don't have to worry about paying for all those necessities that we have to have. And of course, we can have a roof over our head, we gotta have clothes on our back, food in our stomachs. Those are the things that we kind of have, and it goes right back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and everything like that. But out of those kind of things that we have been led to believe that really are the things that really matters most to probably each and every single one of us, we really don't take that value dynamic to heart because we have been trading things for eons. We started with the, I think the first coin that was ever done was a stone coin that actually the Romans done, and that's how they did their money and everything like that. But we've done it even further before that. We've done when people would trade horses for sheepskin and all that. I mean, we've traded and bartered since the dawn of time. But I believe we're on that evolutionary track, Jay and Robert, that we're not going to be so focused on the money, but we're going to be really focused of creating that balance not only with money but the value of people. And once we bring that into the mix, then maybe the money that we use can be and I wish Soika was here with us today because he had a great quote in and of itself. It kind of went like this: I can get all the money that I want, but I'd rather get all that money to give it away. And what he was really talking about is if he actually creates more money for himself, which I won't say no to any one of us on this call today, but if we create a lot of money for ourselves, that where we take that very money and really flip it around and give it right back out to the community or to the organization that we're part of or whatever that might be. Again, the very act of giving and the very act of receiving, what's going to come back to us will be multifaceted, multifolded, in such a big kind of win for all of us, to where we don't have to really be relegated by money anymore. It's just like with and Jay knows this, Robert. I could care less if I make one dime out of bringing humanity together. I don't care. I really don't, because I'm all about impact. And if we create that impact in such a way, Robert and Jay knows this too as well, we know that money will come. It's not a matter of if; it's only a matter of when. But we have translated that money mindset into things that we do, and I get that. But what if we was to able to translate that in a way to, again, prime example, I'll give you a case in point. Uh, what if bringing humanity together goes to, let's say, McDonald's, like Jay said earlier, and we go to McDonald's and we do a consultation for them to have a great leadership training program that's going to be bar none the best out there on the planet. And then they take us up on that and they come back to us and they say, hey, Jay, Chris, you guys did phenomenal work in this training program. We didn't mind not only paying the 65,500 that was actually on that contract, but what we got more back out of that was more tangible and more valuable to us. And the only way that we can equate it is, of course, through the prism of money mindset. And they will come back to us and say, hey, Jay and Chris, this is what you guys did for us. It was great, but we got over $1.5 million in value. That's where I truly believe, Robert, where humanity is really truly headed, because at the end of the day, we've said this for eons. You can't take money with you when you're gone from this earth and go to the next plane of existence or whatever that might be for you. You are going to end up not taking it with you. But what you can do, Robert, is leave a legacy behind and leave a foundation behind for others not only to create and follow, but even build upon and even make it even better than what it was currently. Because what I truly believe, Robert, and Jay probably knows this too as well, is if you get into an organization or into a person's life, not only from a business standpoint, but more importantly, a personal connector standpoint, and you leave them better than what you found them, that's where the coup de grace moment will happen. Because, again, at the end of the day, if you get them to where they want to go in life or even in business, then maybe they can be able to say to you, hey, Robert, I see this great piece of land. I want you to get it. Here is $10,000. Pay it, be done with it, and build that field of dreams. And I truly believe, Robert, when people start doing that and they're not focused on the money, but they're focused on the vision, the purpose, the way they can fulfill someone's needs and things of that nature. Because, see, we all want someone to come into our lives from a products and services standpoint that's going to do the things that they're going to do. A plumber, a guy who picks up the trash. Those are things that have been going on for eons. But see, I truly believe, Robert, we kind of if we frame it in a way that we, like I said, create that balance between value of people and that value of money, then next thing what's going to end up happening is people will start buying your product and service, not because you're doing that said product and service, because we've done that, like I said, for eons. But it comes right back down to this very fundamental question. I truly believe is the one that's the most powerful one that we should ask. It's not what you do, Robert. The better question to ask, Robert, and Jay knows this too as well, is who are you? What's your thought on that, Robert?
Um, I think I'm pretty much on the same page. Um, my my hesitation, it gets back to what I was saying earlier. Because I mean, when I started even at the outset, what I've been trying to do, um, I've I mean, hey, just I've had websites where I would try and explain my vision and what I'm trying to do and all that kind of thing. And as I would go, I would try and add value to people, and with no real expectation, but just saying, hey, if anyone has any questions or comments or whatever, here's a website, you can check it out, get all the, gain what perspective you can of what I've shared. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions or whatever, just let me know. And that's, trying to work together and leveraging that aspect of hoping that I provide enough value in the websites so that people have gained something from it and have gained some education, have gained some insights or whatever, so that they would be able to, I mean, using what is often referred to as the reciprocity principle, where people just out of the fact that you've given to them, they give something back. And I've tried doing that, and so far I have a total of 0 people who have actually gone to the websites that I've built and been and asked as a question, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It's just for whatever reason I haven't figured out how to make it work. And if that's the case, and this on my simple example, and how many more cases are there like that? How, to what degree is that the case versus the what you're talking about, where I think it's definitely doable. It's definitely something that I think is on the horizon for humanity. And I think if I equate it almost to I don't know if you're familiar with the 100th monkey principle, but there's a story. I don't know how true it is, so I mean take it as you will. But I've seen it enough in my own experience that I think there's at least some value to it. But there was some monkeys on an island where they would give the monkeys some food, and the monkeys got to be where they would expect these people to give them food. Well, at one point they put the food in the sand, and the monkeys didn't like the sand in the food, and so they just stopped eating it. So they took one monkey, and they took it and showed it how to take the food from the sand and go out to the water and wash it off. And then later on they saw that monkey teaching another one, and then those two taught 2 more or 4 more or however, but they started teaching each other. And down the line, once it got to, per se, the 100th monkey that was taught on that island, they went to another island where they had no contact with that context whatsoever. And those monkeys, while they had never done that before, they were taking food to the water and washing it off. And that somehow there's this, this fifth dimensional, universal subconscious mind or what have you, however you want to interpret it, that once enough, a critical mass of monkeys learned a certain skill, that spread to a greater sphere where they didn't have any physical interaction, but that it was communicated to them by, the ether or whatever. And I think it's a very similar analog to what you're talking about, where as people on a small scale are able to adopt the value of, that's shared in BHT, that as it increases and as people start to share it, and it grows naturally, that eventually the critical mass will come to pass, and that it'll jump, and that humanity at a greater scale will be able to adopt it. But Mike, I'm just I just have the question of how long, how far, how many people will it take before that can be uh, seen to be evidence in humanity at large?
Well, Robert, I can answer that question for you right now. That when it takes to that question of how many does it take, Robert, it only takes one, and here's why. If if we know by very definition, Robert, that we talk to one another on a scale that we do it on a constant basis, whether it be the great things in life, the bad things in life, whatever that might be, we talk. It's already there. And I truly believe, Robert, when you get that kind of prism and mindset of, hey, maybe it might be that one person that can add value to what I'm seeing today, or you can take that into reverse, and maybe I can be that one person and add value to that other person today, like Jay, and seeing what he sees and believes, and just take that for what it is. That one will turn into many, because many hands make light work. And if we allow that to be kind of inside of who we are, and again, that goes right back to that very question. It's like, who are you? And once you answer that for yourself and you allow others to answer that for themselves in tandem with you, then you can be able to say, how can I be of humble service? How can I be able to get you to where you want to go? How can I be able to learn from you, grow with you, thrive with you, lift you up, and help you rise? And then once we do that from that power of one, it's not a matter of if anything gets big in our life. It's only a matter of when and who's around us and on board with that. And I will have to put that very video in today's call. And in fact, you know what, everyone, please go to the comment section of today's call. There's going to be a great video that I'm going to encourage all of you guys that you should see. Because I know we're playing on YouTube right now, so YouTube is going to say, no, we can't really play that and that kind of thing. I'm not going to let that be a thing on it. But I'll put it in the comment section of today's call. There's a great YouTube video from Derek Sievers, and he has a thing called How to Start a Movement. It's been played in leadership courses in universities across this globe. And Robert, once you see this video, if you haven't already done so, it has opened up my eyes in the potentiality of what humanity can truly do. And yes, granted, like I said, money has been a facet of our lives for so many years. But what if we can take that very money mindset and say, I'm not going to be beholden by it anymore, and say, I'm only going to use that as a tool to get the things and the wants that I want in my life, whether it be in business or otherwise, to really build out something that's going to be very monumental and maybe even significant or maybe even inspirational to others. Because when they see what I see, they're not going to be focused about the money anymore. It's just the same thing when you create a culture of growth and thriving potential inside of an organization today. When people come to your, let's say, restaurant or McDonald's or whatever that might be, and you create that great experience for them, Robert, it's going to change fundamentally of how people actually view money moving forward, because an experience in and of itself, Robert, is priceless. We can't get those things back. If we get a bad experience, that's going to be with us to the day that we die, or even at the end of the week, and we say to somebody, whatever you do, don't go to McDonald's anymore because that place, not so good. But when we tell the great praises of why people are doing what they are doing, because they're not worried about the money, but they're worried about the experience or the impact. And that's, again, it goes to who they are. Like I said, they're not going to be focused on the money anymore. They're going to be focused on the impact and how people can actually get what they want out of it in such a way they can get a great plumber and have that great plumber experience. They can change out the pipes, no more clogs, no more backed up drains or anything like that. And you can get that all day long. But if they leave you in a better position to get from them what they are providing to you, because they provided that great, exceptional experience, you can't put a price tag on that. And it's just like I've learned from my father, and it's been a big thing for probably a lot of us in our day to day lives, that what if we was to under promise and over deliver? And if we can start doing that, Robert, from a place of not only providing a good service to people, but providing an experience that's so exceptional beyond compare that when they come to our businesses today, they're not going to be focused on the money of how much that might be. Even then, granted, the economy is the way it is right now here in the United States and around the world. The prices are so high they can't, they got to pick and choose. What do I choose today? Get a hamburger from McDonald's? It's almost like $15, or do I stay home and eat ramen that's probably $2? And see, I truly believe once we, like I said, create that with people, that is going to pay dividends, and then you start to see the turn in the shift of money in such a way to where they can jack all their prices all the way to kingdom come. But you know what's going to end up happening? The supply and demand factor will be flipped on its head to such an extent to where actually less can be more, and people are going to say, hey, wait a minute, you are selling haircuts for $3 when others are charging them 25. Why is that? I get more because I'm doing it at a smaller point, price point wise. And then once you start doing that, next thing you know, you're going to have people lined up at the door, because not only are they willing to pay for the experience, but going to say, hey, they're providing a great, valuable service, and yet they might be even cheaper than the next guy. But like I said, you can't put a price on that experience, Robert. And I truly believe, like I said, that will be the turning point when, like I said, when humanity sees that value dynamic is going to shape even the supply and demand dynamic. It's going to be the coup de grace moment. So, Monica, I see you're with us here today. Hello, Monica. How are you doing today?
Hello, hi Chris, hi everyone. I'm really good, thank you. Just had kind of problems getting here. For some reason, the link didn't work for me, but so yeah. But I'm here and I'm glad. How are you? Hope
Oh,
everyone's
I'm doing great.
okay.
We just had such a phenomenal conversation with Robert already today. So I'm glad that you're here with us today, Monica. But Robert,
Thank you.
in what I just shared with everyone today, what's your thoughts on that?
I think you're if not right on point, then you're at least darn close to it. Um, I would like to add that part of what I see going on is I don't know how you're familiar you are with the metrics of like networking and how things multiply at that scale. Um, there's there's a some research I've seen with the brain and how we process information. And when, for instance, if a new batch of information is been considered by somebody and they're looking and making a decision, there'll be a low hum of activity in the brain, and it'll come up and they'll reach just this huge spike that's like across the whole brain, and then it'll suddenly drop down to almost non-existent the moment before the decision's made. Kind of, I don't know if kind of like along, if you look at the like the Pareto distribution, there'll be it'll build to that same kind of peak, and then that decision will be made, kind of thing. And I think it's the same way with what you're talking about, where as people start seeing it happen at one place or another, or is in mass, that there'll be a hesitancy to beginning, and then they'll spread it, and it'll spread real quick at a peak. And then it's like, from if I understand correctly, that people will say, well, this is too good to be true, and it may even back off for a minute and it'll look like it's become a failure, until suddenly there's a breaking point, and it all happens, it all comes into place. There's actually a video I saw of a guy who built what he calls a backwards bicycle, where if you turn the handlebars right, it turns left, and turn the handlebars left, it turns right. And he showed the learning curve of how that happens. And it was, I mean, he couldn't make it work for the life of him. And it took several weeks of practicing and trying. Some days he'd be able to do it, some days he wouldn't. And towards the very end, it seemed like he hit utter failure, where he couldn't do anything right, and it was just an abysmal failure. But he kept on trying, and at the point where he could have either given up and just left it behind him, or he had the choice to try once more. He tried that once more, and it finally worked. And from then on, he rode it like he'd always ridden a bicycle that way. And he would go all over the place and right into a place and show this to people and see if they could try it. And they would show the same failure that he had at the outset. And if you look at any kind of learning curve, it's the same way, where everything will be chaotic, and you'll have good days and bad days, and success and failures, until you finally get to the point of excellence. And when you get to that point of excellence, then failure is almost non-existent. And I think it's the same basic dynamic with this interpersonal relationship building that you promote, and that people will have success with each other, and people will build relationships, and those relationships, some relationships will thrive, and some will just tank and do nothing. But once you keep at it enough, and you practice the skills of interpersonal dynamics and building relationships and networking, that at a point a cohesiveness will build among those relationships, where it won't only be you connected with A, B, and C, but then A will be connected with B and C, and B will connect with A and C, and so forth. And that everyone will start interconnecting and networking together, so that with almost like an explosion, it'll suddenly start working and snap into place.
And see, Robert, what I truly believe and what we believe here, bringing humanity together, that everything is interconnected to everything else. It's already there. It's about recognizing how not only are we more similar to and more in common ground with each other, but also how we uniquely different to each other. We're literally made from two sides of the same coin. We're literally designed that way. And when we see that opportunity to connect with people from a place of not only of human connectivity, but of opportunity and of growth and of thriving, and the power of positivity and the power of possibility, literally working interconnectedly, to where maybe, Robert, and especially when you're talking about money today, maybe we do it from a place of this kind of true human evolutionary dynamic. I truly believe that everyone should kind of stay focused on is maybe when we allow alignment and agreement to come into our lives. And alignment and agreement are the two greatest gifts that's been bestowed upon humanity in and of itself, where we give people money, or even again that next currency of humanity, which is going to be rooted in value and not that very money, that we allow them to take it from a place of, let's say, agreement, and let them take that journey with us, and we with and them with us, that we take that journey together from agreement into alignment, or they start in alignment and they work their way to agreement, however that may work. It doesn't really matter. But when we allow both alignment and agreement to come together as one, Robert, I truly believe that's going to be the coup de grace moment for humanity, where they see the actually where the true value truly resides in. It resides in the people, resides in the vision, resides in the possibility of the power of what if. What if this could be achieved? What if that could be done? What if we can actually do this? And by doing that, you go far and beyond what you truly put yourself in a limitation kind of dynamic. And if you do it from that kind of openness and really putting yourself out there, you won't be limited by money anymore. You won't even be limited by those self limiting beliefs. You will only be limited to what you deem to be limited for you. I truly believe the potential for humanity is literally endless in scope. There's nothing that we cannot achieve and do, whether it be from a place of growth, from a place of thriving, from a place of connectivity, even from a place of money. And here's why I truly believe money will have a kind of hand in that in and of itself. Granted, again, if someone gives me, let's say, $10,000 today and say, Chris, buy this piece of land, build out your office, we'll bring humanity together, and not only will you build it, but they will come, I just take that as a gift. It's going to be there. Again, it's not a matter of if, it's only going to be a matter of when and how's that done. But see, people, again, I truly believe, Robert, have gotten so conditioned to believe that the money is going to be not only the root of all their problems, but also all the solution to their problems. And it's not. It's about recognizing the balance of how do you even show up to that money. Because if you're not even willing to show up with that money, then all bets are kind of somewhat off at that point, because then you're going to end up saying, hey, if I'm not willing to give you the money, am I going to trust you? Am I going to really see your vision? And see, I don't truly believe, Robert, that money should be the motivator to all this. It really isn't. If you are willing to give of yourself, first and foremost, and make money a secondary kind of natural byproduct of that, that's where it truly should start from, because it's, again, going back to what I said earlier about knowing who you are. Because I truly believe at the end of the day, if I create that impact for you and Jay and Monica and Keith and everyone else who's a part of this, the next thing you know, the money is going to be inconsequential at that point. It's going to be so far more inviting and engaging when we see not only that dream come to fruition, but that field of dreams being built. Because think about it, 10,000 years ago, there were some people who said, I want to go out for a better future. And they set off and said, hey, we're going to go out and we see the unknown to become known. And see if we can becoming that next set of explorers to a certain degree of what humanity can turn really into, then, like I said, I truly believe the possibilities are endless. And like I said, we've been talking a lot about money today. Well, like I said, at the end of the day, you can't take money with you. Money can't solve all of your problems. Money can't even uh, create everything that you want in your life. All it is another form of energy and tool that we use. That's all it is. But once we get it back to the foundational of not being transactional anymore with money, but more relational with money, then we can see again that balance in and of itself. So let's get into our final thoughts and our big takeaways here. And I'll start with you, Jay. What say you?
I think that I think that based on what I'm hearing, um, and you can correct me anytime, Robert. Um, I think Robert, in his own experiences, has tried the model that you're talking about in varying degrees. And I think the one model that works for him is the one that uses current systems, monetary systems, to allow for him to help communities, and people that all across the spectrum, from what I'm hearing, right? And it's not just for the upper echelons, but to help humanity in general. And I kind of want to get in on that. I kind of want to get in on that, and I'm hearing infinite banking in these systems
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
that he's not okay. And so I like the idea, and I think that talking about how to create communities, I've got a blueprint. I was working within the financial industry at a credit union, and I had a blueprint for it, how to create a community of affordable housing that's not going to look like trash, and it's not going to be in a part of town that's going to be crazy to live in, but it's going to provide those things that we saw on TV growing up, right? The old, even the old school black and white stuff like Leave It to Beaver, and those communities where you weren't afraid to walk down the street to go play baseball at the mound, right? So and I think that there's opportunity there. So that's what I'm thinking as
I,
far
I,
as
I
what we
I
can
can
do.
see your dynamic of infinite banking. I truly do. That's something we definitely should talk about on a later broadcast. Absolutely thinking about it from an infinite possibility dynamic. I love that. So, Monica, I'll go to you to your final thoughts because I know you got here a little late, but we're glad that you're still here. In
Thank
what
you.
you've been hearing so far, what kind of shows up for you?
I'm not actually clear on the topic completely, because I can hear something about finances here, whether before I just thought it's about being selfless and soulful. So if you can clarify the question, Chris, I would appreciate that, please.
So let
Thank
me
you.
put you in this context, Monica. What does money look like and really truly mean to you?
Okay. Wow. Oh, mm, obviously, you get into the certain point in your life that you almost reevaluate everything that you've known so far. So it happens to me as well, that I had to unlearn what I believed and
Mhm.
who I were before to relearn the new values that were aligned with my current state of consciousness. And I I had an epiphany moment today listening to a podcast. Michael Singer, he said something fascinating about spirituality and the values and what you believe. And he said all spiritual teachers has got it wrong. They keep saying, "Oh, you need to find yourself. You need to realize who you are." But almost this spirituality is about to forget yourself. You need to forget your identity and to start to appreciate just the mundane, nature and the universe, and then everything around you, and see to learn your new to learn yourself in the reflection of others, reflections in nature. Um, and if you look into the lake and see your reflection there, you not only see yourself, but you only see the lake. You also see the lake as well, and you see everything around you. So I think money is a product to coexist um, today on a world environment, but it's not. Human beings made it very life very difficult, and money as a something that we were pursuing greatly, and then as a made it a goal or success in life. So you are uh, almost like being, successful if you earn, six um, numbers or more. Whether money money is it's not it's a fixed product, yeah, but we are not fixed. We can develop, we can evolve, and using money as a something that we are striving for, it's perhaps it's our, step to failure. Because if we learn ourselves in a reflection of others, reflection of nature, it's not materialistic. You can find the meaning in life, and like something better, something greater. So I feel that not being fixated on money and pursuing materialistic products, to not get attached to
You're good.
get fixed, to people, places, and things, because we sort of shifted the uh, dynamics, because it should be money should be using for experiencing life, whether at the moment money are being used for um, creating identities, yeah, if you like. So if we come back to those roots, and then see ourselves through reflections of others, but use money as a byproduct to experience life and to help us to experience that reflection, I think we're going through a right direction. Whether um, not being attached to materialistic thing and to money, it's really important, because it's so easily we can get attached. We need to let it go, because you know life isn't about sticking to something and then getting fixed or fixated on materialistic pursuits. And if we see money as something that is can be we can have but we can lose, and it doesn't really attach to it, and then um, perhaps use it as a byproduct, then yeah, obviously I hope you got my points. It's almost like, don't really get attached too much and then see yourself through money, and building your identity by having money. It's using it to experience life. Thank you.
And I've said it before, Monica, and I'll say it again. Money's all it is at its very foundation is a tool that we use to get the things that we want and need in our life. That's all it is. Another form of an energy and tool. That's all. But I love that. Great share. And I'll go to you, Robert. Thank you so much for again sharing your story with us and having this great and engaging conversation, not only about money but so much more. But I want to go to you, sir. And what's your final thoughts and maybe your call to action today when it comes to money, and probably thirdly about connecting with humanity in and of itself?
Um, I forget the words that you used, but you used the example where you had your two hands up and functioning in the two aspects of relationship, where when they come together is where the magic happens, kind of thing. And it reminds me of what Joe Dispenza teaches. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He uh, he uses the heart mind cohesion aspect, and to me, I'm seeing a parallel where the function of money and services and direct exchange and all that kind of thing are would fit in a parallel with the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and then the humanity and the relationship aspect and people coming together in a spiritual way is more of the heart aspect, and that people tend to be um, tend to lean more towards one or the other, and that when people are in the mind money functionality aspect, to that where I've been focusing my attention on explaining the the where the rubber meets the road mechanical aspect of what I'm working on. I've been reaching out to them, but then there's also the aspect of relationships and interconnectedness of humanity that comes from the heart aspect. And while I found that in my original failure of trying to reach out to people in that aspect and get feedback, I let that lapse too far in order to function more in trying to reach out and function on the mind money functionality aspect. And that is with Joe Dispenza teaches, when the heart and mind come into cohesion, he actually has seen physical manifestations of healing in people in his meetings, where people who have visible malformations like broken legs and stuff will they'll see a physical manipulation of the body where they'll be able to see a physical healing take place. And in that same way, with what you're talking about, of the two aspects coming together and where the magic happens in the harmony of those two, that when I am able to work on meeting the needs of the money, logic, and transactional side, and communicate those same principles in the dimension of the humanity and the spiritual side, and share the interconnectedness of those two and how they work together, and those two groups of people are able to understand cohesively, that that's when the true magic will take place, and that I'll not only be able to reach uh, a greater perspective, but in each of those two perspectives, I'll be able to reach at a deeper level, and that combination of addition plus the deeper aspect of the what I would think is more like a multiplication will turn it into almost a exponential growth, and it's an exponential level of service and integration of the whole thing.
Well, when you really think about it, Robert, it can be literally infinite
Oh
in
yeah,
scope. It can really because see, if we choose the path in our life, and I truly believe this, and we truly believe this here at Bring Humanity Together, that choice is the ultimate path to freedom. If we choose the next currency of humanity, which is going to be rooted in value and not money, we just see money as another natural byproduct, again, about who we are. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. And then when we add that value to people that can be infinite in scope, maybe they can be able to see what we see, and then we can be able to see what they see, and then start that journey not only from alignment and agreement, but literally go and bring it together as one when we allow that to occur. And
right,
Robert, I truly believe when people really believe not only of the power of potential, but also the power of what can truly turn into, of not only from a place of vision, but also of dreaming. There are so many ways that we can really impact humanity, not only from a place of money, but more importantly, maybe from a place of how we are truly solely or interconnected to one another, that we can be able to grow and thrive together by helping each other rise. And by doing that, it's not a matter of if that field gets built, it's only a matter of when and who builds it with you, who ends up investing that great point of investment. Because I truly believe, Robert, the best investment is the human investment, and we can't even put a price tag on that. And once we allow that investment to grow and create that great bank of ROI, not only in our bottom line, but also in the bottom line of those very people that we meet. And maybe it's now about the money mindset and the money in the bank kind of dynamic. But again, the ROI in their bottom line of what matters most to them. What really is the thing that really gets them to be motivated to do what they do and why they do it. And we shift and flip the dynamic, that we make it about them now versus making it about us. Again, from a money mindset, people are going to give money and say, hey, what are you going to give back to me in return? It's that instant gratification kind of dynamic that we have lost sight of from a true human connective experience and perspective. Because, see, for me, I'm not in it for the instant gratification now. We are here for the long haul. We're here in the power of potential, the power of growth, the power of thriving, because nothing is going to happen overnight, Robert. It takes time, it takes a little intentionality, but also take a little thing from flow too as well. Because if we lead our lives from a place of intentionality and let flow in our lives, then we can really change the way we even see people today, not only in business, but literally in life itself. And Robert, I'm going to put this uh, invitation out to you. We would love for you to be a part of what we're building here at Bringing Humanity Together. We would love to have you because I just truly believe, like what Jay was saying, we can have infinite banking. We can have that. We just have to build it. That's all it is. So let's definitely have that conversation about that and so much more. So again, Monica, thank you so much for joining us today. Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, thank you, Robert, for sharing your story with us in this great, powerful conversation, and not only about money, but how we can really connect humanity. And we definitely like to have that conversation with you. And just to let everyone know, I will be posting two posts tonight. I'll be posting our Humanity Happy Hour live stream for tomorrow, a little bit later on tonight. So be on the lookout for that, not only on my personal page, but also on our business page here at Bringing Humanity Together. And then I'll be posting our LinkedIn audio community call for our Friday. I'll be posting that later on today. And again, if you want to get to know more about Bringing Humanity Together, please reach out to Jay, reach out to myself, reach out to Monica, and we would love for you to be a part of what we're building here at Bringing Humanity Together, even when it comes to the five pillars of Bringing Humanity Together, which is rooted in leadership, human development, health and wellness, family, and community. And we would love for you to be a part of those great and growing teams that we're building out right here, right now. So, Robert, thank you so much for sharing your story. And from all of us here at Bringing Humanity Together, we're so humbled and honored to have each and every single one of you here today. I see we had Barbara here today. We had Emmy here today. We even had Frank here today. And Charles even was here today. And even Angelica, like I said, all the way from Italy, she was here with us today. So we greatly appreciate you guys watching in. And again, if you want to be a part of this, please send me a message and come share your story on Conversations for Humanity. There's the link, and we will love to hear from you. So from all of us here at Bringing Humanity Together, have a great day, make your day, and we'll see each other tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour on the LinkedIn audio experience version, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Have a good day, everyone.
You